After I turned off my boyfriend's close payment feature, my future sister-in-law panicked when she tried to outbid everyone at the auction. In my previous life, my future sister-in-law beat me to the punch and won a top-tier relic by making a sky-high bid, but my account was still charged 5 million yuan. When I went to confront him, I found out that the close payment feature I had set up for my boyfriend had been transferred to my future sister-in-law, but this relic could save my father's life. I asked her to give it back, and she put her hands on her hips and snapped, "If your dad dies, so be it. I won this with my own abilities, why should I give it to you?" My boyfriend took my sister-in-law's side too and yelled at me, "Su Mengmeng, your family using your money is flattering you. If you still want to marry me, then get down on your knees and apologize to my sister right now." Worried about my dad's illness, I rushed to snatch the relic in my sister-in-law's hand, only to be shoved down the steps by her and killed. My boyfriend kept using my linked payment account to buy all kinds of luxury goods for my sister-in-law, and my dad passed away from illness too. When I opened my eyes again, I was back to the time when my sister-in-law was pretending to be rich. I'll take this phoenix coronet. Qin Shui flashed a bold smile as she held up her bidder number. "Don't worry, everyone. For all the items on display today, as long as you want them, I'll take them all. Your account has been debited 100,000 yuan. I looked at the string of payment notifications I'd just received and gave a cold laugh. Sure enough, Qin Shui was using the intimate pay feature I'd set up for my boyfriend to pretend she was some big spender again. Xia Xue is really as beautiful as she is kind. The class monitor leaned in and flattered her, unlike Su Mengmeng, acting all high and mighty like some rich young lady. Exactly, and she even had the nerve to say her dad was a top-tier collector. So why isn't he bidding on a single piece today? The whole class was staring at me like I'd been stabbed with knives. It was the same in my last life. Everyone assumed Qin Shui was the rich heiress who spent money like water, while I was just some broke student crashing the class. The truth was, the shared payment account I set up for my boyfriend, Qin Yang, had been given to his own sister, Qin Shui. Every cent Qin Shui spent was mine. Bro, look at this Tang San Kai. Isn't it gorgeous? I want to buy it and give it to brother Chen Mo. Oh my god, that's 200,000 yuan, and Xia Xue bought it without even blinking. Xia Xue said she wants to give it to Chen Mo. Could she mean the Chen Mo who's the heir to that top-tier wealthy Chen family? I heard he has a childhood sweetheart fiancé. Xia Xue is being so generous. Could it be that? Hearing that, Qin Shui shyly stamped her feet. Oh, as long as you know. Brother Mo said he wanted to keep a low profile and didn't want everyone paying attention to his private life. When she admitted it, the whole class went wild. Oh my god, Xia Xue is actually Chen Mo's fiancé, because Xue is outstanding. Would an ordinary person spend several million to buy antiques? If you ask me, those two are a perfect match. The praise from the people around her was music to Qin Shui's ears, and she lifted her head proudly. I gave a cold laugh. Chen Mo, when did Chen Mo, the boy I grew up with, become your fiancé? If I want him, he'll come running to marry me in a heartbeat. In that instant, the whole class looked at me like I was crazy. She's lost it, right? She actually said Chen Mo is going to marry her. She's just an ugly troublemaker. How could she ever compare to Xia Xue? Xia Xue is beautiful and gracious, and the piece she gave me is worth tens of thousands. I stared at the auction item in their hands and let out a cold laugh. Qin Shui, you've really gotten addicted to spending my money. I raised my phone, and Qin Shui's expression changed at once. Looking wronged, she said, "Sister Mengmeng, I know you're jealous that my brother treats me so well, but the money I spend is our Qin family's money. You're not even married into the family yet, and you already want to control our money. That's not appropriate, is it?" Everyone in the class looked at me with disdain and rushed over to comfort her just as I was about to make the payment records public. Qin Yang suddenly slapped me hard across the face too. Enough. This isn't your place to decide how the Qin family's money is spent. If you keep upsetting my sister, I'll break up with you. Qin Yang is so handsome. He's seriously the ultimate sister protector. Su Mengmeng, I'd advise you to behave yourself. Who doesn't know your dad's a driver? Yet here you are, pretending to be rich. How embarrassing. Qin Shui's lackeys all mocked me as I looked at the man in front of me. A sharp pain twisted in my stomach. This was my boyfriend of 3 years, using the 5 million a month spending limit I'd given him for our linked payment account, yet he wouldn't even look at me. Qin Yang, why are you so afraid to let me pull up the payment records? Qin Yang quickly dragged me into a corner and warned me in a low voice. So what if Xia Xue spends a little of your money? Do you really have to be this petty? When you marry me in the future, all the money from your Su family will belong to the two of us siblings. It's just a little early spending now. So why the long face? Let me tell you, if you upset my sister, watch it, I might just make sure you never get into our Qin family. At that moment, the auctioneer brought down the gavel. Congratulations, Miss Qin Shui, sold for 500,000. My phone started vibrating, one bank debit notification after another popping up. Qin Shui had actually spent a full 1 million in just 10 minutes. My heart throbbed with waves of pain, but my mind suddenly became crystal clear. In my previous life, when Qin Shui pushed me down the stairs and killed me, Qin Yang stood by and watched coldly. I begged him to take me to the hospital, but all he cared about was Qin Shui, who was crying in fright. After comforting her, he finally glanced at me and said, "She just slipped and fell by accident. Everyone understands that, right?" With the entire class testifying against me, my death was ruled an accidental suicide. Qin Yang went on spending my money to buy all kinds of luxury goods for Qin Shui, and my father later died of illness. Thinking of this, my eyes turned red. The class representative deliberately raised her voice and said, "Some people just love acting weak. If she weren't Qin Yang's girlfriend, she probably wouldn't even qualify to enter this auction. Xiaoshua's family is so rich, and she's willing to bring us along to broaden our horizons. Some people must be jealous, right?" Qin Shui walked over hypocritically and said, "Sister Meng Meng, are you feeling unwell? Do you want me to take you home first?" She was still wearing the Cartier watch I bought last month. No wonder I couldn't find it. It turns out Qin Yang gave it to his younger sister. I fixed her with a hard stare. Spending my money to look generous, feels good, doesn't it? The whole room suddenly fell silent. What the hell is wrong with you? Qin Yang kicked me straight in the chest, his eyes flashing with a cruelty I'd never seen before. "You're humiliating my sister in front of all these people. Everything she splurges on is my money." My voice trembled. "Your sister is using my money to put on airs." Qin Yang leaned in close to my ear. "Your money, once you turned on intimate payment, it's my money. What's wrong with me giving it to my sister? Don't push your luck." My back slammed hard against the wall, and it hurt like hell. In my previous life, I had broken down crying right here, and the whole class had treated me like a joke. But now, looking at Qin Yang's twisted expression, I suddenly laughed out loud. "Since you all think Qin Shui is some rich young lady, fine, there's a top-tier auction house in South City that only lets people in after verifying their financial standing. Qin Shui, do you dare go? Let's go then. We might as well give everyone an eye-opener." Qin Shui held her neck stiffly and said, but I could clearly see panic in her eyes. "Qin Mo, tomorrow, I want to see the proposal scene between you and me." After sending the text, I turned and walked toward the Qingnan auction house, with waves of snickering coming from behind me. "Xiaoshue, let's go together and make her look foolish. Do you really think you're some rich young lady? Qin Shui is the real heiress, and her fiancé is a top-tier rich kid like Qin Mo. Let them laugh. They won't be laughing for long." 3. By the time they reached the auction house entrance, the gilded doors exuded luxury, and a sharply dressed staff member stopped Qin Shui and the others at the door. "Please present proof of funds." Qin Shui froze for a moment, then frowned. "What do you mean? You don't know who I am?" The staff member kept a blank expression. "Sorry, admission requires proof of assets of 5 million. The whole class fell silent for a second, then erupted into laughter. "Ha ha ha, is your auction house blind or what? You don't even recognize Miss Qin." "Exactly, one random card from Xiaoshua's family could buy out this whole place." Amid the crowd's jeers, Qin Shui looked rather uncertain. Her face had gone pale, and she bit her lip hard. "Go on, Xiaoshue, let Su Mingming see who the real rich girl is. I've never been to such a lavish place before. I'm so excited." Under everyone's envious gazes, Qin Shui forced herself to the asset verification counter, put on a calm front, and took out her phone to show the staff. I stood at the back of the crowd, coldly watching her panic with amusement. A few seconds later, the staff looked up, their face darkening with irritation. "Miss, are you messing with me? The total balance in the cards under your name doesn't even add up to 10,000 yuan. The look on everyone's faces shifted from mocking amusement to shock, then to suspicion. "What's going on? How can there be no money on Xiaoshua's card?" "But Xiaoshua just spent at least 1 million on those antiques." Qin Shui panicked, pointing at the staff member. She shouted, "That's impossible. There must be something wrong with your system." The staff rolled their eyes and immediately raised a hand to signal the security guard. Qin Yang finally reacted, rushing over to shield his sister before turning back to glare at me. "Did you do this?" I blinked innocently. "I didn't do anything." The looks from the students around us gradually changed, and the murmuring grew louder. "What's going on? Isn't Xiaoshua's family loaded? Could it be they've been faking it this whole time?" Qin Shui panicked and grabbed Qin Yang's arm hard. Bro, tell them right now. Our family is nowhere near short on money. Qin Yang's face darkened even more. Tugging at my arm, he said in a low voice, hurry up and give your black card to Xiaoxue. If you dare say Xiaoxue's black card was stolen by me, and if you make Xiaoxue cry one more time, I'll break up with you right now. You're out of your mind. After I spat those words at Qin Yang, I walked straight to the asset verification desk and handed over my black card the next second. After checking it, the staff nodded respectfully. Miss Su, your verification has been approved. Please come in. Your seat is in the VIP section. For everyone in the class was stunned. She actually passed the assets verification. How is that possible? She dresses so plainly all the time. Could she have stolen the card? I turned around and met Qin Shue's livid face head-on. She glared at me and suddenly shrieked. Don't be fooled, everyone. She passed the asset verification because my brother transferred all the money in our family to her. The whole class's eyes turned to me in unison, full of contempt and mockery. Seriously, that's disgusting. Just to act like some rich heiress. She even scams money from her boyfriend's family, always acting so above it all. And it turns out she's this vain. I clenched my fingers so hard my nails nearly dug into my palm. These people were usually close to Qin Shue, and she'd long since brainwashed them into believing I was just a poor student living off my boyfriend's handouts. I didn't take your brother's money. I shot Qin Shue a cold look. This card is mine. Do you all actually believe that? Qin Shue burst out laughing exaggeratedly. You're just a poor student. Where would you get a black card? My brother already told me your family is dirt poor, and you even rely on him to get by for meals. My chest felt tight, and my gaze drifted to Qin Yang, Xiaoshue's boyfriend standing beside her. He looked away guiltily, but still chimed in. Xiaoshue's right. Our family's well off, and we've helped you plenty before. So what are you pretending to be a rich young lady for now? The whole class burst into laughter, and some people even whistled. So shameless, scamming money and still acting so above it all. Xiaoxue is the real rich heiress. She just failed the funds verification, so Zumingming must have stolen Xiaoxue's black card. Qin Shue lifted her chin smugly and hooked her arm affectionately through Qin Yang's. Brother, today I'm going to buy the most expensive piece here and show some people who the real rich one is. Chen Ming patted her head indulgently. Okay, brother supports you. I stood rooted to the spot, with nothing but the sound of harsh laughter ringing in my ears. Qin Shue strode into the auction house with the whole class in tow, chin held high. As she passed me, she deliberately bumped into me and said, just wait and see. In a minute, I'll expose you for what you really are. I watched her arrogant retreating figure and slowly curled up the corners of my mouth. Fine, I'll be waiting. 5. Up next is a relic from a revered Tang Dynasty monk. It is said to have remarkable healing powers for serious illnesses. The opening bid is 800,000. Seeing the relic that could save my father's life placed on the auction block, I was overwhelmed with excitement. In my previous life, Qin Shue beat me to it and bought the relic, which led to my father dying of illness. In this life, I silently vowed that I would win the relic no matter what and let my father live safely and well. No sooner had the auctioneer finished speaking than I was about to place my bid, when I heard Qin Shue's voice ring out, 1 million. I turned around and saw Qin Shue holding her bidding paddle high. As everyone guessed which family's daughter she was, she looked extremely pleased with herself. Qin Yang and all our classmates in the archaeology department were looking at Qin Shue with admiration. I immediately raised my paddle and said, 2 million. The whole room erupted in uproar. In my past life, because I wanted to save Qin Yang's pride, I never once competed with Qin Shue in public. I could only watch helplessly as she spent my money and won the admiration of the entire class. Am I seeing this right? Su Mengmeng is bidding against Xiaoxue for the relic bead. Isn't she supposed to be a poor student? How does she have money to join the bidding? The relic bead is definitely going to be bought by Qin Shue. Not necessarily. Don't forget, Qin Shue just failed the asset verification, while Su Mengmeng passed. Tell me, who's really the heiress from a wealthy family? Hearing me bid 2 million yuan, Qin Shue suddenly turned around, a hint of surprise flashing in her eyes. Then she smiled slightly. 5 million. Oh my god, did I hear that right? Qin Shue bid 5 million. No wonder she's the daughter of such a wealthy family. She really is different. Compliments from the classmates rose and fell all around her. I let out a cold laugh. What kind of heiress was Qin Shue? She was nothing more than a pretender, putting on airs here by relying on the close contact pass I'd given Qin Yang. I slowly raised my hand 4 million, the crowd erupted in gasps once again. Qin Shui's face went pale in an instant. She turned around and stared at me in disbelief, her eyes blazing. While everyone was waiting for Qin Shui to make her next bid, Qin Yang leaned in close to my ear in exasperation and said, "What do you mean by that? You knew Xia Shui liked this relic, and you still tried to snatch it from her. Stop right now and let Xia Shui get the relic on camera." I was honestly speechless. Where on earth did he get the confidence to order me around? Ignoring Qin Yang's attempt to stop me, I stood up and raised my placard. 5 million, this relic is mine. Oh my god, why isn't Qin Shui bidding anymore? Could it be that Su Mengmeng is the real rich heiress and Qin Shui is the fake one? Faced with all the speculation, Qin Shui's face turned as red as a liver. She stood there at a loss, not knowing what to do. After a long and awkward silence, everyone assumed Qin Shui would back down and admit she was the fake heiress, but to everyone's surprise, she slowly raised her right hand and made the sky-high bid gesture. Qin Shui has placed a sky-high bid, which means no matter how much Su Mengmeng offers, Qin Shui will bid higher. Now that's what a real rich young lady looks like. The applause in the room went on and on. Qin Shui lifted her chin proudly, basking in everyone's envy. When Qin Shui shot me a provoking glare, I spread my hands. I forfeit. A flash of delight crossed Qin Shui's face. She hadn't expected me to give up so easily. The auctioneer brought down the gavel with excitement. Congratulations to Miss Qin Shui for winning this precious collectible for 5 million. Qin Shui strode proudly up to the front desk and pulled out the supplementary card tied to my shared payment account from her Chanel bag. Beep, beep, payment failed. 6. The entire auction hall suddenly fell silent. Qin Shui's smile froze on her face. Impossible. Her face twisted with fury as she ordered the staff to try again. Insufficient account balance. Payment failed. That's impossible. Her voice began to tremble, and beads of sweat broke out across her forehead. Try again. It was working just a moment ago. I slowly stood up, and everyone's eyes instantly turned to me. No need to try again. Qin Shui. My voice echoed across the entire auction hall. I turned off the family payment link. What family payment link? Everyone was completely confused. I walked up to the stage and took the real main card out of my bag. The card Qin Shui just took was a secondary card linked to mine. That other card was the family payment link I set up for Qin Yang. Over the past 6 months, every penny Qin Shuihua spent, including every meal she treated everyone to and every bag she bought, was my money. I hadn't even finished when Qin Shui went pale and rushed at me, trying to tear my mouth apart. You're lying. That was the money my brother gave me. Your brother? I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Your brother Qin Yang gets only 2,000 yuan a month for living expenses, barely enough to buy you a pair of shoes. If I hadn't set up a 5 million yuan monthly shared payment limit, you two siblings would still be eating the cheapest vegetarian dishes in the school cafeteria. How dare you put on airs here? The student's expression shifted from shock to sudden realization, then to anger at having been deceived. So those designer bags, those fancy restaurants, and the antiques photographed today were all bought with Su Mengmeng's money. Su Mengmeng is the real wealthy heiress, and Qin Shui is just a fake. How shameless. The whispers shot toward Qin Shui like arrows, and the polished image of a wealthy heiress she had carefully built came crashing down, as Qin Shui trembled with her shoulders shaking and cried nonstop. Qin Yang suddenly rushed over, grabbed my wrist, and barked, "Open up the shared payment feature right now." I shook off his hand at once. Why should I? Because you're my girlfriend. His face twisted into a vicious snarl, completely unlike his usual gentle and refined self. So what if my sister spent a little of your money? We're family. What's mine is yours and what's yours is mine. Family. I let out a cold laugh. When your sister was using my money to buy things for the whole class and wasting it like it was nothing, when she deliberately looked down on me, why didn't you say we were family then? Qin Yang was momentarily at a loss for words, then flew into a rage. If you dare not open it, then forget about marrying into our Chen family. The whole room fell silent, and everyone was waiting for my response. I slowly took my phone out of my bag and, right in front of him, opened the shared payment management page. A smug smile spread across Qin Yang's face, and Qin Shui also straightened her back again. You slut, you're still completely under my brother's thumb. I'm telling you, raise the shared payment limit to 6 million, or I'll have my brother break up with you. Qin Shui said with her arms folded. I gave a mysterious smile, then, under her watchful gaze, pressed the permanently disable button. Qin Yang, we've broken up. I'm taking back the linked payment. Ignoring the shock on Qin Yang's and Qin Shui's faces, I turned to the staff and said, Miss Qin's payment failed. I'll bid on this relic again with my own card. As I signed my name on the POS slip, I heard Qin Shui's hysterical scream from behind me. Su Mengmeng, you bitch, give me my money back. I didn't turn around, I just said to the auctioneer, please call security, someone is causing trouble here. As I walked out of the auction house, I clutched the brocade box containing the relics and couldn't hold back my tears. In this lifetime, I can finally save Dad. Suddenly, my phone buzzed. Tomorrow, the engagement ceremony for Mr. Chen Mo and Miss Su Mengmeng will be held at the Chen family manor. We look forward to your presence, my fiancé. 7. The night the auction ended, Dad was finally moved from the ICU to a regular ward. I carefully placed that crystal-clear relic beside Dad's pillow and watched it give off a soft glow. The doctor had said this millennium-old relic had a special magnetic field that could help repair damaged cells. I looked at my dad's pale face and cried so hard I could barely breathe, hating my own helplessness. In my past life, I had actually stood by and watched him die. Thankfully, this time around, I had a chance to save him. Holding his hand, I asked softly, Dad, how are you feeling? Dad slowly opened his eyes. Meng, I'm feeling much better now. Is this the relic you were talking about? Seeing Dad's curiosity, I nodded. Yes, that's the one. Dad gave a weak smile and reached out to take my hand. Silly child, you must have gone through a lot to get this, didn't you? I smiled faintly and didn't tell Dad how thrilling and perilous this auction had been. As long as you get better, no amount of money would be too much. I nestled my head into my dad's arms, soaking in a long-lost sense of peace. Dad suddenly looked worried, gripping my hand tighter and tighter. My good girl, after walking through that narrow escape from death, I finally realized how much you mean to me. Promise me you'll leave that poor guy named Qin Yang. I know about the monthly spending account you share with him. What future could a useless man who lives off a woman possibly have? That brat Chen Mo has been going on and on about marrying you. I didn't agree before, but now I have to say, I'm really fond of Chen Mo. Through tears, I broke into a smile and sweetly showed Dad the text message I'd received. What? You're getting engaged to Chen Mo? After reading the message, Dad was so happy he nearly jumped for joy, not even thinking about the 4 drip in his arm. He hurriedly urged me to go home and get some sleep so I could look my best at the engagement ceremony tomorrow. The next day, I chose a simple yet elegant champagne-colored gown, and I looked utterly noble and refined. That night, the Chen family mansion was ablaze with lights, and luxury cars lined the drive. I arrived early to freshen up and wait for my fiancé, Chen Mo. Thinking of Chen Mo's devastatingly handsome face, I felt my heart start to flutter a little out of control. I always thought Chen Mo was a man of few words, so when I met Qin Yang, who was like a little ray of sunshine, I readily accepted his pursuit. During the 3 years I dated Qin Yang, I only got to see Chen Mo when the Chen and Su families gathered for New Year's dinners. Whenever he faced me, he would always repeat the same line, as long as you say the word, even if I have to crawl over here, I'll still marry you. At last, as he wished, I was going to marry Chen Mo this time. After getting everything ready, I found a quiet corner. While waiting for Chen Mo, I suddenly heard a commotion. Look, it's young Master Chen's car. The crowd instinctively parted, and everyone turned to look toward the entrance. A sleek black Maybach pulled up slowly, the door opened, and a pair of feet in diamond-studded high heels stepped out gracefully. I sucked in a sharp breath, unable to believe my eyes. The person getting out of Chen Mo's car, how could it be Qin Shui? She was dressed in a striking red gown, with an exaggerated diamond necklace around her neck and heavy, seductive makeup. The moment they saw her, the whole class crowded around her, and fawning compliments rang out, one after another. Xiaoxue, you look absolutely gorgeous today. My God, is this young Master Chen's private car? I heard tonight's banquet has invited almost half the people in City A, and it's to hold Mr. Chen Mo's engagement ceremony with his fiancée. You just got out of Mr. Chen's car. Could you be Mr. Chen's fiancée? Qin Shui smiled shyly. You're all so annoying. Now there's no mystery left at all. I was hoping to give you a surprise. Xiaoxue is really young Master Chen's fiancé. The entire banquet hall instantly erupted. Qin Shui lifted her chin smugly and swept her gaze across the crowd. When she saw me, she clearly froze for a moment, then broke into a mocking smile. Well, if it isn't my ex-sister-in-law. What, dumped by my brother and now here trying to snag yourself a rich husband? The whole class burst into laughter, and someone even deliberately said loudly, Xiaoxue, your brother was so wise to dump her, a woman like that, who struts around just because her family has a few dirty bucks, doesn't deserve a genius like your brother. I let out a disdainful laugh. Who on earth invited this clown? Get her thrown out now. I don't want to see her at my engagement party. Qin Shui let out a cold sneer. Your engagement party? At least make up a better lie. Emoji and I have been childhood sweethearts. Where did you come from, you shameless woman, Xiaoxue? Don't be upset. How could a woman that loose ever be Qin Xiao's fiancé? Qin Shui was fuming, her chest rising and falling violently, and the whole class hurried over to comfort her. Just then, the other side of the car door suddenly opened, and a uniformed driver stepped out. Standing respectfully to one side, the crowd fell silent at once, and Qin Shui's expression froze on her face. I shouted dramatically, so it was just the driver opening the door. I thought young Master Chen was personally serving you. Qin Shui's face turned bright red at once. What do you know? Chen Mo has something to take care of and will be here later. This guy is his personal driver. If I weren't his fiancé, why would he send his personal driver to pick me up? Exactly. If you say you're young Master Chen's fiancé, why didn't you come in young Master Chen's car? Apologize to the future mistress of the Chen family right now, or don't blame us for being rude. My classmates crowded around me, determined to make me leave with Qin Shui. In the scuffle, someone grabbed my hair, and someone else kicked my shin. That hurts. I couldn't help crying out in pain. We made you pretend to be young Master Chen's fiancé. Now we're going to teach you a lesson on Xiaoshui's behalf. Everyone started punching and kicking me. By the time they had left my body covered in bruises and cuts, a deep, magnetic male voice, laced with urgency, rang out from the hall. Stop, it's Chen Mo 9. He strode quickly into the crowd, his imposing presence forcing everyone back, then scooped up my battered, bruised body in his arms. Why is young Master Chen carrying her? Aren't young Master Chen's fiancé supposed to be Qin Shui? As everyone looked on in confusion, Qin Shui dropped her arrogant attitude and put on a sugary smile, hurrying over. Brother Mo, I've been waiting for you for so long. Yet Chen Mo didn't even glance at her. His eyes locked straight onto the man who had just hit me. Who was it that hit my fiancé just now? Step forward on your own. Qin Shui's face went deathly pale. Brother Mo, what are you saying? How could she possibly be your fiancé? Chen Mo finally spared her a glance. And who are you? Why are you wearing the dress I bought for my fiancé? Take it off. Tears welled in Qin Shui's eyes. Brother Mo, it's me, Xiaoxue. When we were little, you even said I was cute. Young Master Chen, Qin Shui is your fiancé. How can you be holding that shameless woman? Are you really going to cheat right in front of your fiancé? All the classmates were standing up for Qin Shui, but under Chen Mo's cold gaze, Qin Shui only grew more and more guilty. After a long pause, Chen Mo seemed to remember something. Oh, your Uncle Qin's daughter, right? Seeing a flash of delight cross Qin Shui's face, she nodded wildly. He said impatiently, Miss Qin, the only connection I've ever had with you is that your father, Qin Daqiang, was my driver. When you were little, my parents took pity on you and your brother and let you come to my house occasionally. That's all. Who gave you the nerve to wear the clothes I bought for my fiancé and pretend to be her? And even lay hands on my fiancé? Take it off. For Uncle Qin's sake, I'll let this slide. A wave of gasps rippled through the crowd, and Qin Shui's carefully maintained rich, beautiful, and privileged image collapsed in an instant under Chen Mo's icy words. You, her lips, painted with bright red lipstick, opened and closed several times before she finally, to the sound of rustling ridicule all around, humiliatedly took off her red dress, arms wrapped around herself. Clutching her chest, she fled toward the exit in tears. Chen Mo, looking heartbroken, hurriedly called in his personal doctor to check my injuries. Half an hour later, the music started, and Chen Mo led me onto the dance floor. I'd had my makeup redone and was now wearing a custom-made red gown. He kissed me gently on the lips. Please take good care of me, my fiancé. My face flushed bright red, and just as I was about to kiss him back, a furious roar suddenly erupted from the edge of the dance floor. Qin Yan had appeared in the hall at some point, his eyes bloodshot as he shoved through the guests and grabbed my wrist. Su Mengmeng, how dare you make Xiaoxue take off her clothes and get out of the banquet hall? Do you know how badly she was crying just now? His fingernails were practically digging into my flesh as he spat. And this other guy, he's a man, and you're my girlfriend, yet you're out here all over him in front of everyone. Shameless. Bang, he was still rambling nonsense when Chen Mo punched him so hard he went flying. Qin Yang, you actually dared to insult young Master Chen's fiancé. You've got some nerve. Only after hearing a classmate mock him did he get back on his feet and carefully size up the man beside me. By the time he clearly saw Chen Mo's face, he was already trembling with fear. He knelt on the ground, trembling. Young Master Chen, please be generous and don't stoop to my level. Chen Mo looked up. Get lost. Qin Yang hurriedly fled the banquet hall. Just as Chen Mo and I announced the official start of our engagement ceremony, someone suddenly shouted, Young Master Chen, Bad news. Someone saw Qin Shui go to the hospital. She was running while saying she was going to snatch the relic and make Miss Sue's father not survive. 10. By the time Chen Mo and I hurried over, we saw Qin Shui putting the relic into her pocket. Then, to our shock, she viciously wrapped her hands around Dad's neck. She was actually trying to strangle him to death. While he was asleep. Stop. I immediately rushed forward and shoved her hard to the ground, then held Dad in my arms, shaking uncontrollably from fear. I couldn't bear to think about it. If I had arrived 1 second later, would Dad have been strangled to death by Qin Shui? Qin Shui had been restrained by Chen Mo's men. She glared at me viciously and shouted in refusal, "I won't accept this. Why didn't you end up like you did in my past life, pushed down the stairs and killed by my own hands? You married the man I loved most, and even your rich father is still alive and well. Why should you get to have all the good things? I won't accept it. I won't accept it. I want you dead." It was only when I saw the wild, deranged look on her face that I realized she had found out I had been reborn somehow. She pulled out a fruit knife and lunged at me, trying to stab me over and over. At the critical moment, Chen Mo kicked her straight in the leg, sending her flying several meters away. The knife in her hand also clattered to the ground. Qin Shui looked at Chen Mo with a hurt expression. "Brother Mo, how could you kick me for her? I love you so much." Faced with her passionate confession, Chen Mo showed anger for the first time. "I've already called the police. You deliberately injured my father-in-law, Miss Qin. That charge alone is enough to put you behind bars for 10 years. Sirens blared downstairs. While everyone waited for the police to take Qin Shui away, an unexpected person rushed out. It turned out to be Chen Mo's driver, Qin Daqiang. He dropped to his knees before me with a thud. "Miss Su, please show mercy and let Xiaxue go. She's my daughter." He clung to my sleeve desperately, crying pitifully. Before I could say anything, Chen Mo frowned and said, "Uncle Qin, you've let your children bully Meng Meng time and again, and now you're still pleading for a murderer." Ignoring Qin Daqiang's tearful pleas, he took out his phone. "HR, terminate Qin Daqiang's employment contract immediately." As the police took away the wailing Qin Shui, I tightened my grip on the relic bead and finally let out a long breath. My father's life, I've finally saved it in this lifetime. A month later, at the wedding of the Chen and Su family's children, just as Chen Mo was slipping my heirloom diamond ring onto my finger, the banquet hall doors were suddenly shoved open. Qin Yang rushed in, disheveled and tear-streaked. "Meng Meng, I was wrong. Qin Shui deceived me. The one I love most is you. Please, just give me one more chance." Okay. While the guests were busy watching the drama unfold, Chen Mo didn't even spare him a glance and simply raised a hand to signal the security guards. As the noise faded away, he gently lifted my chin and placed a tender kiss amid the thunderous applause. Looking at my dad wiping away tears of relief in the distance, I closed my eyes in happiness. Given a second chance at life, I had finally found the happiness that belonged to me. The end. That's it for the first story. Don't go anywhere. The next one is even better. On the day of our 50th wedding anniversary, Jiang Hebai insisted on leaving me behind to go to a class reunion, yet he had always hated that kind of gathering, and that day he went to great lengths to coax me into letting him go. "I'm this old already. If I don't go see my old classmates one more time now, I may never get the chance again." But when I rushed over in a panic to the private room to bring him his diabetes medication, I heard laughter and chatter coming from inside. "Old Jiang, it's really hard to catch you in person. Looks like Wanru's face carries a lot of weight." "Sung Wanru, don't say that." Old Jiang came because he missed everyone. The others kept joking in a way that didn't suit their age. "Wanru, don't be so modest. Ask old Jiang who he came to see." My breath nearly stopped at that moment, but I still heard Jiang Hebai answer gently, "Fine, fine, I admit it, I did it for Wanru." Well, then, 50 years of sticking together through thick and thin still couldn't beat the one who got away. I pushed the door open and walked in, then shoved the medicine into Jiang Hebai's hand under everyone's awkward stares. "Make sure you take your medicine. Don't eat anything you shouldn't." "Old Jiang, it's really hard to get a chance to see you. Wanru really does carry some weight. When I asked you this morning, you still said you couldn't come, but the moment you heard Wanru was back tonight, when he saw it had gone to the nation, he immediately changed his tune." I hurried to the private room door to deliver Jiang Hebai his diabetes medication, only to hear people inside mocking him. So that's why Jiang Hebai suddenly acted so out of character and insisted on coming to the class reunion last night. Song Wanru had come back. Song Wanru immediately demurred in a coy tone. "We're all past 50, and you're still so improper." When Hebai picked me up, he even said he'd missed everyone. Everyone burst into laughter and kept trading jokes that were completely out of step with their age. "Wanru, don't be so modest. Back in the day, you had old Jiang completely under your spell. At that moment, I could barely breathe. I clenched my fists so tightly in nerves that my nails were almost digging into my palms, but I still heard Jiang Hebai let out a soft chuckle and answered gently, "You old geezers, quit teasing Wanru, she's shy and can't take all this crude talk." "Fine. I admit it, I did it for Wanru." "Okay." Everyone was laughing and applauding, and through the noise came the faint sound of Song Wanru's reproachful voice, "Old Jiang, why are you joining them and teasing me, acting like an old fool?" Amid the noisy laughter, I clearly heard Jiang Hebai's confession, "I wasn't teasing you. When we met again 10 years ago, I already said I'd keep you tucked away in my heart for the rest of my life, and from now on I never want to hide it again." My nails finally dug into my flesh, and the searing pain jolted me awake in an instant. Well, I'd clap and cheer for them if I could. After all, just one day after Song Wanru, that long-lost first love, came back to the country was enough to outweigh 50 years of me and Jiang Hebai growing old together through thick and thin. I lowered my head and looked at the medicine box in my hand, now somewhat warped, and couldn't help but mock myself inwardly. Only 20 minutes ago, I was still worrying that Jiang Hebai might be in trouble because he hadn't taken his medicine on time, yet he was full of energy, like a young man head over heels in love, shielding his beloved behind him. Meanwhile, I, the neglected legal wife, found myself thinking about divorce on our golden wedding anniversary. Today is my and Jiang Hebai's golden wedding anniversary, and I've been preparing for it for the past week. At 75, I no longer had the sunny beauty I once had as a flight attendant, only silver hair and a face lined with wrinkles, but I still wanted to look for that old feeling. I took out the wedding dress I wore when we got married, and in my mind I had imagined countless romantic candlelit dinners, with me appearing in front of him in that dress. I wondered what his expression would be. Would he be just like he was 50 years ago, when he first saw me in my wedding dress, so overwhelmed that he burst into tears, then held me and said he would love me forever? Just yesterday, on the eve of our anniversary, all my preparations had come to nothing. By then, we had already turned off the lights and were getting ready for bed when Jiang Hebai suddenly sat up from the bed, clutching his phone, and looked at me. "Roland, I forgot to tell you, old Gu and the others are organizing a class reunion tomorrow. I'd like to go this time." I looked at him in confusion. "Didn't you hate this kind of thing the most? You said all they do is flatter the rich and look down on the poor." "What's the point?" Jiang Hebai seemed a little embarrassed by what I said, and even started acting cute like a young guy, holding my hand. "But I'm already this old. If I don't go see my old classmates now, I may never get the chance again. Lao Gu has called me several times already, saying this time we'll have the most people showing up." I looked into his eyes, which had suddenly brightened, and for a moment I couldn't bring myself to say anything to make him stay. The evening breeze was a little strong, blowing the curtains open through the window. I turned my head and saw my reflection in the glass, wearing an expression so awkward it was hard to even describe. I got out of bed and closed the window. I forced the corners of my mouth up into a smile at Jiang Hebai. "Noon or tonight?" Jiang Hebai picked up on my concession, and his tone brightened a little. "Noon, but in the afternoon we might still go for tea and karaoke. Old Gu is studying bel canto at the senior university and has been eager to show us what he's got. If I'm back late, don't wait up for me. Just have something good to eat on your own." He said so much, but never once mentioned our wedding anniversary. I thought it was only natural to be forgetful when you get older, so I tried to remind him. "So I'm celebrating tomorrow's anniversary all by myself." Jiang Hebai had already lain back down under the covers and answered me without even turning his head. "We're already an old married couple. No need to go doing those young people things. If you're bored, go see Liang Yin. Haven't you been going on about not seeing her in ages?" She never spared me a glance and didn't see the loneliness and disappointment on my face. I pulled myself together, straightened my clothes, and made sure I looked presentable before pushing the door open and walking in. Everyone fell silent in tacit agreement, watching awkwardly as I stuffed the medicine into Jiang Hebai's hand. "Remember to take your medicine, and don't eat anything you shouldn't." I copied Song Wanru's tone, pretending to scold him, though it came off as forced and affected. Jiang Hebai clutched the medicine and shot to his feet. "Roland, what are you doing here? You didn't even tell me ahead of time." After a lifetime as a flight attendant, my best skill was my standard smile. Smiling, I swept my gaze across everyone present, then finally focused on Jiang Hebai again. I pointed at the medicine bottle in his hand and said, "I came to deliver medicine." "What, don't you want me here? Or are you all hiding something from me and doing something What good is it to be in the business of winning people over?" Jiang Hebai's face had long lost the rosy color it had when I first walked in, turning even paler, and he couldn't say a word. The Sangwonru beside him, however, braced a hand on his shoulder and stood up, smiling brightly at me. Sister Lan, I was just saying how come old Jiang didn't bring you along. Since you're here, sit down and eat with us. Hey, Lao Jiang, honestly, why don't you hurry up and bring Sister Lan a chair? As she spoke, Sangwonru even lightly punched Jiang Hebai on the shoulder, acting all sweet and familiar, as if she weren't the least bit worried I might see it and start feeling suspicious. Jiang Hebai instinctively looked up at Sangwonru. In that gaze, it was as if tens of thousands of stars were shimmering, so dazzling it made my eyes ache. A few seconds later did Jiang Hebai come back to himself and go get a chair for me. I waved them off. No, it's fine. You'd all feel awkward with me here. As I spoke, my gaze swept over Sangwonru, and I finally got a clear look at how she looked now. People say time is a butcher's knife, so why hadn't it left many marks on her face? She was wearing a fitted modern qipao, her hair swept into an elegant bun, with light makeup, everything just right. Jiang Hebai must have sensed the hostility in my gaze and immediately stepped between me and Sangwonru. His brows were drawn in displeasure, his voice low and cold. Luo Lan, there are so many people here, what nonsense are you talking about? If you want to stay, then sit there. If you don't, go home. I've only come to one class reunion all these years, and you still had to show up. What am I messing around for? A little annoyed, I raised my voice. How am I messing around? I'm just worried you'll eat something outside that you shouldn't. It's not good for your health. Sangwonru turned sideways and walked up to me, as if she were trying to mediate between us. But in reality, she was declaring war on me. Lan really is so caring. Look at me. I've spent most of my life already, and I'm still making other people worry about me. If Hegbai hadn't brought me breakfast when he picked me up this morning, I would have come to the gathering on an empty stomach. After saying that, she chuckled to herself, her eyes and brows curving with a smile. Though she no longer had the youthful glow she once did, she still outshone most old ladies by far. So when Jiang Hebai looked at her, the corners of his tightly set lips softened into a slight smile. I suddenly felt a wave of nausea churn through my stomach. How could someone practically halfway to the grave do something so disgusting? Seeing that something was wrong with me, Old Gu immediately rushed over to steady me and tried to talk Jiang Hebai out of it. Old Jiang, I think Roland isn't feeling too well. Why don't you take her back first? Jiang Hebai's silence was answer enough. I pushed Old Gu aside and headed for the door. You guys carry on, don't let me ruin the fun. The moment I turned around, I saw Jiang Hebai pull out a chair and help Sangwonru sit down. Looks like he really didn't want to hide it anymore. Not even for a minute after I got home, I started packing Jiang Hebai's things. After all, his heart was already elsewhere, so there was no reason for him to stay. But this apartment was originally bought and paid for in full by me, so even if we got divorced, the one who should leave is him. I'm getting old. After just a bit of tidying up, my lower back starts aching all over. I slowly sat down by the bed, staring blankly at the wardrobe, which had already been emptied nearly halfway. Suddenly, I spotted a black storage box tucked away in a very hidden corner, delicate and spotless. There are only two of us in this house, me and Jiang Hebai. If it isn't mine, then it must be his. Curiosity got the better of me, and I opened the box. It was packed full of letters. Every single one was from the same person in the same place, Sangwonru. From Shangjin City. I casually opened the most recent one. Hebai, we're already 75, with you going back this time. We don't know if we'll ever see each other again, though there were once regrets. Having you by my side these past 10 years since we reunited has made me very happy, but how many more 10 years do we really have? How wonderful it would be if you could stay by my side forever. I couldn't bear to keep reading, and I didn't want to imagine how Jiang Hebai had replied. I simply called Liang Yin calmly. Hey, Liang Yin, I think I want a divorce. Liang Yin rushed straight over to my place. After hearing me out, she got so mad her blood pressure shot up. That old geezer Jiang Hebai, has he forgotten who stood by him through the hard times? Now that he's old and has both fame and fortune, he wants to make up for the regret of the love he never got. Divorce, absolutely divorce. I forced out a faint smile and gently patted Liang Yin's back with my withered hand. Again and again, calm down. With high blood pressure, you can't afford to get upset. Liang Yin turned and hugged me, her voice choked with emotion. When I get back, I'll draft a divorce agreement for you. I'll make sure that old bastard walks away with nothing. Liang Yin wasn't just talking big, she was the famous lawyer Liang, and she had handled so many divorce cases there was no way to count them. It was already 10 o'clock at night when Jiang Hebai finally came home. Maybe out of guilt, he even brought me a gift. He took out a pair of pearl earrings from a small box and looked at me ingratiatingly. Honey, happy golden anniversary. I looked at the ring, then at him. Ha, happy. Today really is a happy day. Jiang Hebai caught the sarcasm in my tone, and his hand, which had been about to put a ring on me, froze for a moment. I know I was out of line today. You know I've been a government official my whole life. I just talk like this. I can't change it. He definitely couldn't change it for me, but with Song Wanru, he could be as tender as water. I dodged the earrings he handed me and kept reading. Put them back in the box for now. I'll wear them when there's an occasion. Jiang Hebai looked visibly relieved when he saw that I had accepted his gift, but he never expected my next words to be, Jiang Hebai, let's get a divorce. He was like a cat whose tail had just been stepped on, instantly bristling. He shoved the ring box away hard and yelled at me, Luo Lan, do you even realize how old you are, and you still keep talking about divorce every chance you get? It's just that at today's gathering, they made a little joke about Wanru and me. Honestly, the older they get, the more petty they become. Look, Wanru didn't even take it. I won't bother arguing with them. I let out a bitter laugh. Perfect. Once we're divorced, you can be with Song Wanru out in the open. I don't want to argue with you today, so stop making a scene. After saying that, Jiang Hebai took the comforter and went to the guest room. Even after seeing that I had packed up all his things, Jiang Hebai still refused to agree to the divorce. He simply became busy, leaving early and returning late every day. He had to do morning workouts and go for night runs, but every time he came home, there wasn't a trace of sweat on him. That morning, he rushed out again and forgot to bring his medication, and ended up being taken to the hospital. It was Song Wanru who called to tell me, Sister Lan, Hebai has been admitted to the hospital. You should come take a look. As the saying goes, a day as husband and wife brings 100 days of affection. No matter how much I didn't want to see them again, I was still afraid something had really happened to Jiang Hebai and that they would need me to sign off on it. As soon as I pushed open the hospital room door, I saw their tightly clasped hands and those matching outfits that were impossible to miss. After 50 years with Jiang Hebai, I had asked many times to wear matching outfits, but he always flatly refused. I'm the one in charge. What would it look like for people to see me wearing that kind of thing? And now, seeing him in a cartoon-printed t-shirt, I found it absurd beyond words. To win Song Wanru's favor, Jiang Hebai really went to great lengths under the pretense of a morning workout. He left home in sportswear, then changed into matching couple outfits to meet the woman he loved. Even when he was madly in love with me, he had never been this thoughtful. Suddenly, Song Wanru's soft sobbing pulled me back from my daze. Hebai, you scared me to death. It's all my fault. I'm useless and don't know how to take care of people. Jiang Hebai gently stroked Song Wanru's long hair and comforted her softly. Don't be afraid. When people get old, a few minor ailments are perfectly normal, or else it'll be the death of us. You see, I've kept up with my workouts all this time just so I can stay by your side a little longer. You don't need to know how to take care of someone. Just stay by my side and let me take care of you. Two people in their 70s baring their hearts to each other and confessing their love so deeply. What a love to envy, but they don't deserve it. They're bandits when it comes to love, looting and taking from me without the slightest sense of guilt. I coughed softly. Ahem, sorry to interrupt. Their eyes turned to me at the same time. Jiang Hebai was annoyed at being interrupted mid-confession, while Song Wanru wore a smug, triumphant look. I stepped closer and went on. Looks like you're fine. Then, sign this and give the poor girl an official title already. Don't wait until someone else finds out and ends up calling her the other woman. That would be the kind of disgrace you can't come back from. I tossed the divorce agreement Liang Yin had drafted for me onto Jiang Hebai, my tone cold and laced with sarcasm. With that, I turned and left that suffocating hospital room. Song Wanru followed me out and called after me, Sister Lan, Hebai and I aren't what you think. We're just. I stopped in my tracks, curious to see how she planned to twist their shady relationship. We just wanted to make up for a regret. We never meant to ruin your marriage. You can still be Mrs. Jiang. I'm already content as long as I can spend the rest of my life by Hebai's side. I couldn't help letting out a cold laugh. Mrs. Jiang, like I'd care. You're the only one who takes that old geezer seriously. He's nothing but bad habits and disgusting faults. I've long since had enough of him. Good thing you're the one picking up the pieces. I smiled sincerely. I can't bring myself to wish you happiness, but I do hope you get exactly what you deserve. As I turned and walked away, all I heard was Song Wanru's resolute voice behind me. We'll definitely be happy. When it comes to love, it's best not to be too certain, or reality will hit you hard. Jiang Hebai readily agreed to the terms of the divorce agreement, left the house to me, and moved out all of his belongings. Before he left, he sighed at me. Honestly, we never had to end up here. I never meant to divorce you. Can't you show me a little understanding? Wanru is my greatest regret in this life. I only want to make it up to her a little, she's so clueless and doesn't know how to take care of herself at all. I just spent a little more time on her. And you have to make it into this big deal. I didn't want to say another word to him, I just shoved his suitcase and pushed him out. Shut up, old man. Save your energy for chasing after your one true heartbreak. I opened the door and saw Song Wanru waiting outside. Today, she was wearing a white blouse, the collar slightly open, revealing the pearl necklace around her neck. It looked especially beautiful. She smiled at me, and I just shut the door, sitting down on the sofa, looking at the house that hadn't changed much at all. I somehow felt it had become much more spacious. Liang Yin. I want to learn how to dance. Okay, I'll go with you. That afternoon, the two of us found a place near my home and signed up to learn ballroom dancing. I'd wanted to learn for a long time, but Jiang Hebai was a leader, and he said ballroom dancing was improper and beneath his status. Maybe he had already changed by then, I just didn't notice. After all, when he was pursuing me, he had clearly said that as long as it was something I wanted to do, he would be there with me. It was my own carelessness. I ended up wasting 50 years of my youth. Now that I'm old, my arms and legs don't quite do as they're told anymore. After one class, I feel completely worn out, like I'm falling apart. Still, even though I'm tired, I'm happy, truly happy, from the inside out. After class, Liang Yin and I went shopping at the mall too. When we passed the jewelry counter, we saw a pearl necklace that looked just like Song Wanru's. I was immediately drawn in and pulled Liang Yin over to take a look. The sales associate enthusiastically introduced it to us. You have excellent taste. This is the latest style in our store, and we're running a promotion right now. Buy a necklace and get earrings free. I pointed at the tiny pearl earrings next to the necklace and said to Liang Yin, see those earrings? They're supposed to be my anniversary gift. Isn't that ridiculous? Ridiculous. Liang Yin squeezed my hand with pity and waved at the clerk. This one, and that one too. Wrap them all up. I'll take them. From now on, anything you like, I'll buy it for you. I couldn't even stop this rich old lady's forceful love. She truly spent her whole life ruling the workplace, and even in old age, she still couldn't shake that fiery temper. That's why she never got married. She had money, time, and the freedom to live life exactly as she pleased. Now I've come to her world too, ready to enjoy my own life to the fullest. After Jiang Hebai moved out, he went straight to live with Song Wanru. Once the divorce cooling-off period was over, he finalized the divorce with me and then immediately turned to Song Wanru. They got their marriage certificate. They even held a small seaside wedding. Someone posted it online, and it received countless blessings from netizens. Having a wedding at this age must mean it's true love. No doubt about it. That grandma is so beautiful. Of course she deserves to be loved. Grandpa is handsome and romantic too, even kneeling on one knee. So agile and full of life. In the video, a little girl bounces up onto the stage to deliver the wedding rings and sweetly gives her blessings in a babyish voice, wishing Grandpa and Grandma a lifetime of happiness and sweet, loving days together. Everyone burst out laughing. Jiang Hebai affectionately picked up the little girl and kissed her on the cheek. Good, my precious granddaughter is so adorable. Grandpa will give you a big red envelope later. I stared at my phone screen in surprise. Didn't Jiang Hebai hate kids the most? That was exactly why we never had children after we got married, and now he was holding someone else's child as if he couldn't bear to let go, savoring the joys of family life. My heart ached with bitterness, not for Jiang Hebai, but for myself. No one knew how much I loved children, how badly I wanted to be a mother, all because of Jiang Hebai. I've spent my whole life with regrets. How am I supposed to make up for them? Just as I was about to close my phone, Liang Yin called. We don't have much time left. Come on, let's do a spur of the moment, of the journey. I gladly agreed, and Liang Yin and I took the night flight and left. We traveled to Jiangnan, slowed down to take our time exploring, and soaked in the beauty of this picture-perfect place. I rented a small place by West Lake, and just walking around the lake every day made life feel a lot calmer. I never expected to run into them here. Liang Yin and I planned to stay by West Lake for a while, learning to dance a little every day and taking leisurely strolls. It was such a pleasant way to live. But one day, as we sat by the lake enjoying the breeze, we spotted a familiar figure on a small boat in the middle of the lake. Jiang Hebai was holding that adorable little girl and saying something to her, but the girl didn't seem very happy and was struggling hard in his arms. Jiang Hebai looked completely worn down, as if he had aged years in an instant. His cotton shirt was covered in wrinkles. His hair was a mess, and his face was full of worry. Beside him, Song Wanru was still impeccably dressed in a qipao, her hair perfectly styled, standing with her hands behind her back and showing no intention of helping. Jiang Hebai was so anxious he no longer cared about keeping up appearances, and he shouted irritably, Can't you come and comfort her? She's your own granddaughter. Song Wanru's face darkened with anger too. What do you mean, my own granddaughter? So you never even treated her like one of your own. Besides, I don't even know how to take care of people. It was you who solemnly promised my son that you'd take good care of your granddaughter. The scene in that moment was so dramatic. It felt like something straight out of a TV drama. So this is what the love Jiang Hebai had chased all his life really looked like. Liang Yin also followed my gaze and saw everything, and couldn't help but clap with delight. Great. Now they really do look like a married couple just trying to make a life together. Serves them right. As soon as Liang Yin finished speaking, there was a splash, and the girl fell into the water. Song Wanru's frantic screams echoed across the lake. Help, my granddaughter fell into the river. As she spoke, she shoved Jiang Hebai. Haven't you always been working out? What are you standing there for? Hurry up and jump in to save her. Jiang Hebai was terrified of water and had never dared to learn how to swim, so he shook off Song Wanru's hand and took 2 steps back. In the past, I asked him to go see the sea with me, and he wouldn't even do that. Now he's willing to go boating on the lake with Song Wanru. He must have really made up his mind. In the blink of an eye, a tourist had already jumped into the lake to rescue him. I immediately called 120, and fortunately everything happened in time. The child should be fine. It was just that Song Wanru had pushed Jiang Hebai down from the ambulance, and he stood dejectedly by the roadside. But when he turned around, he spotted Liang Yin and me. He awkwardly raked a hand through his hair and straightened his clothes before walking over to us. Only then did I notice that his once upright back had bent slightly. With none of the commanding bearing he had carried all his life, Liang Yin stepped in front of me and challenged him. You've got the nerve to come see Alan. Go find your precious first love. Go on, then. So you got kicked out. They don't want your useless old self anymore. I tugged at Liang Yin's sleeve and stepped out from behind her. Ain, did you forget you have high blood pressure again? Don't get yourself worked up over someone else. It's not worth it. I didn't once look at Jiang Hebai the whole time. I grabbed Liang Yin and was about to leave. Jiang Hebai panicked and called out my name. Luo Lan, wait. Liang Yin held me back and said softly, let's hear what else he has to say. Life's been too boring anyway. Might as well have a little entertainment. I stopped helplessly, and Jiang Hebai quickly walked over. Roland, how have you been lately? I'm doing well. After leaving you, everything felt like what I'd wanted all along. Traveling and sightseeing feels so free and so happy. And you, have you started living the life you wanted? Have you been living the life you wanted? Jiang Hebai was very close to me, so close that I could clearly see the many more wrinkles on his face. It wasn't until I left you that I realized I'd been living far too comfortably before, which is why I wanted to make up for the regrets of my youth. Now I'm living with no dignity at all, no money, no house. And at Song Wanru's place, I'm basically just a live-in male nanny. Roland, give me one more chance. Let's live out the vows we made when we got married and stay together until the end of our lives. Okay, I listened quietly, and the more I heard, the more I laughed. Who do you think you are? And what exactly do you take me for? You want to leave whenever you like and come back whenever you please. What is this, a hotel? At least a hotel charges you, but all these years, besides making me serve you, and keep up your image as some big shot. What have you ever given me? Enough. I don't want to waste any more words on you. This is all the choice you made yourself. Sometimes, you just have to accept your fate. This time, I didn't hesitate. I grabbed Liang Yin and headed straight out. We'd only taken a couple of steps when I heard someone shout behind us. Someone help. A person has fainted. I looked back and saw Jiang Hebai lying weakly on the ground. We followed the ambulance and took Jiang Hebai to the hospital. Turns out it was because I hadn't eaten breakfast and my blood sugar had dropped. The doctor thought I was Jiang Hebai's wife and patiently explained the dangers of hypoglycemia for people with diabetes. I cut in at the right moment and said to the doctor, I don't know him. I just happened to pass by and helped out. His phone should have an emergency contact number. Please try calling it. By then, the nurse had already picked up Jiang Hebai's phone and dialed the number. After tapping a few times the next second, my phone started ringing. The doctor and nurse both turned to me with puzzled looks. A little awkward. I hung up. We're already divorced. I'll contact his family for you. I took the phone from the nurse, called Song Wanru, and then handed it back to her. Hello, your husband fainted from low blood sugar and has been taken to the hospital. Please come to Central Hospital as soon as possible. This is the hospital closest to West Lake, and it was also where Song Wanru's granddaughter had been taken after falling into the water just now, so she arrived at the ward very quickly. I didn't want to meet her. I just stood off to the side, a little meanly hoping to see them descend into chaos when Song Wanru opened the ward door. I saw that Jiang Hebai had already come to. He glanced at Song Wanru, then turned his head away and said nothing. Song Wanru held her lower back and sat down by the bed. Looks like no one can escape aging. Hebai, are you okay? Why do you keep forgetting to eat breakfast? You used to remind me all the time. Jiang Hebai slowly looked over at Song Wanru. The light in his eyes was gone, leaving them dim and lifeless. His weak voice was faint with fatigue. Roland used to take care of everything for me. She never let me forget a single meal or dose of medicine. But now, ever since being with you, all you've thought about is yourself, your son, and your granddaughter. Song Wanru, I regret it, I really do. I saw Song Wanru smile, a smile that completely shattered her graceful composure. Jiang Hebai, isn't it a little too late for you to regret it now? Even if you still want to go back to look for Roland, would she even take you back? Just stay by my side and do your job properly. Use whatever connections you still have left to help my son land a good job. Even after I'm gone, my son will still. I'll see you buried. Jiang Hebai broke into a fit of violent coughing. So angry he could barely get the words out. You. Song Wanru went out to call the nurse, then said to Jiang Hebai, focus on getting better. I'm going to check on my granddaughter first. Through the crack in the door, I thought I saw tears streaming down Jiang Hebai's wrinkled, aged face after leaving the hospital. I never saw Jiang Hebai again. After Liang Yin and I decided to settle down by Westlake, we had someone sell the house back in our hometown. Together, we opened a dance studio by Westlake and hired professional teachers to teach there. Mostly, I'm getting older, I want to learn dance, but I don't really feel like running around outside all the time. That way, I could have both a career and a lifestyle that's convenient for me. Liang Yin and I spend our days learning dance with a group of young, lovely girls, and it seems to have made us feel quite a bit younger too. Even the teacher says that although we don't have as much stamina as they do, we learn extremely quickly. And the moves we perform are still beautiful. To give our students a chance to showcase what they've learned, we also hold dance competitions or social dance parties on a regular basis. We have a great reputation, and more students are coming to us by word of mouth. On the day the branch opened, a big stage was set up in front of the store. Our students performed dances on it. Liang Yin and I made our grand entrance as the main attraction. Two septuagenarians, silver-haired and dressed in red, danced gracefully. A large crowd gathered around, and the scene was lively and bustling, drawing in many social media creators as well. They posted videos of our performance online, which quickly sparked a wave of attention. If I ever get old, I'd be more than happy to be as free-spirited and elegant as those two grandmas, even if it means eating and drinking well all the time. Hey upstairs, stop eating for a second and look down. Does your belly match grandma's flat stomach? Rich, gorgeous, and free. I'm so jealous I could cry. Girls, why do I feel like I've seen that tall grandma somewhere before? After that netizen raised the question, people started digging up my personal information one after another. Someone even managed to find a photo of Jiang Hebai taking me on a visit to the countryside while he was still in office. No wonder she looked familiar. She's our county governor's wife. Then why doesn't the county governor show up to support his wife? I signed up for an account and answered questions myself. The county magistrate is off chasing his one true love from the past. I'm after the life I lost. Those young women all started commenting under my replies. You are our role model. In the end, you have to live for yourself. Men are all the same. Only by loving yourself can you truly be happy. If I ever get the chance, I'll definitely go see you at Westlake and really witness the presence of a true modern-day female lead. My buzz hasn't even died down yet, and Jiang Hebai has already been spotted and posted online again. In the video, Jiang Hebai and a young man are shoving each other, and with one careless move, he gets knocked to the ground. In the frame, there was also a dignified and elegant older woman, none other than Song Wanru. She stepped forward to stop the young man. Son, don't really hit him. If you damage him, you won't get his pension. Jiang Hebai glared fiercely at Song Wanru and roared, you demons took Roland away from me, and now you want to skin me alive and suck my blood. No way, I'll never give in to you again, even if I die. Song Wanru crouched beside Jiang Hebai and gently wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. Hebai, stop saying things in anger. You were the one who first said you loved me and wanted to make up for our regrets. You were the one who cheated during the marriage, so why are you pinning all this betrayal and shamelessness on me now? Just a 2-minute video was enough for netizens to recognize that the old man who was beaten was my former husband. Netizens couldn't help but sigh in the comments under the video. Didn't he say he went off to chase his one true love from back then? How did he end up looking so miserable? Isn't that what love is? Hitting is a sign of affection, scolding is a sign of love, and if that doesn't work, just give him a kick. If you listen closely to the conversation in the video, That old guy seems to have betrayed Grandma Luo and cheated on her during the marriage with his old flame. Ugh. Disgusting. That so-called first love is even worse. She's actually eyeing some old man's retirement pension. Isn't that old man even more disgusting? He abandoned Grandma Luo for a vicious woman like that. And now that he's living miserably, he's only just thought of Luo again. Grandma is so good. That old saying really hits the nail on the head. It's not that people get bad when they get old. It's that bad people just grow old. This old guy was definitely a scumbag when he was young. The internet exploded with criticism and condemnation of adultery within marriage. As a result, Jiang Hebai and Song Wanru were also publicly shamed, but none of it had anything to do with me anymore. I just wanted to enjoy the rest of my life in peace. 6 months later, Old Gu suddenly got in touch with me. Roland, if you're free, could you come back for a bit? What's wrong? Did something happen to you? When I asked that, I found out it wasn't Old Gu who had run into trouble, it was Jiang Hebai. Ever since his affair during the marriage was exposed, he'd lost every bit of the face he cared about most. He regretted his decision even more and resented Song Wanru for coming between them. The conflict between him and Song Wanru kept escalating. He wanted a divorce, but Song Wanru kept dragging it out and refusing to let him go. Consumed by gloom and frustration, Jiang Hebai's health grew worse by the day, until he finally collapsed completely 3 days ago, knowing his days were numbered. He asked Old Gu to get in touch with me, hoping I would come back and see him one last time. I stayed silent for a long time before finally speaking up and turning him down. Old Gu, please tell Jiang Hebai that there's no need for us to meet again. Life is full of regrets anyway. One more doesn't make much difference. A week later, Old Gu sent me a message saying that Jiang Hebai was gone. After storming into the funeral hall and making a scene, Song Wanru fainted on the spot. It turned out that, even on his deathbed, Jiang Hebai once reported Song Wanru's son by name. He had used his former position and connections to secure Song Wanru's son a cushy, iron rice bowl job by handing out money and gifts. So that was why Jiang Hebai had suddenly acted so out of character last night and insisted on attending the class reunion. Song Wanru was back. Because of that, Song Wanru's son was fired and came to resent Jiang Hebai, so he made a scene at the morning hall. But no matter how well Song Wanru had taken care of herself, she was still 80 years old. She could no longer withstand such a blow and such intense emotional upheaval. After collapsing in the morning hall, she never opened her eyes again. After I told Liang Yin about it, she asked me back, did it feel satisfying? Every evil has its match. I shook my head. Not really. To me, they were worse than strangers. Hearing such absurd things felt like listening to some old lady by the lake gossip. Time flew by like water. In the blink of an eye, 3 more years passed, and Liang Yin was gone too. I was left alone, leaning on my cane, limping along the edge of West Lake. As I walked on, my back and legs grew painfully weak, so I leaned against a bench and slowly closed my eyes. It felt as if I were looking back on this whole life, yet at the same time being led toward my next reincarnation. But no matter when or where, there will always be regrets. Perfectionism always comes at a price. Story 2. When I was 9 months pregnant, my husband's first love, for some excuse, moved into our home. Every time she saw me, she would cover her chest, looking as if the sight of me brought back painful memories. My husband firmly believed that I was deliberately showing off my pregnant belly to make his first love. Ran, angry. Ran is in poor health and can't have children. You keep parading your pregnant belly in front of her every day to provoke her. It seems that you won't learn your lesson unless I teach you a good one. He ordered people to lock me in an attic that had been abandoned for a long time and forbade anyone from bringing me food. I struggled and begged for mercy, telling him that the B ultrasound showed that the twins were too big and the doctor had instructed that I should be admitted to the hospital for childbirth today. But he seemed to have heard a ridiculous joke, and his voice was as cold as frosty ice shards. You're still 3 days away from your due date. Stop playing the victim here. Go to the attic and reflect on your actions. This is the consequence of your making things difficult for Ran. I was in such intense labor pain that I broke my nails, but no one came to open the door. My heart-wrenching cries echoed in the attic for a long time until my whole body was soaked in blood, and an unformed fetus was still stuck in the bloody cavity of my lower body. 3 days later, my husband sipped on the porridge that didn't suit his taste and said, "Let Jiang Ji come out and make me a bowl of porridge. Then tell her to go and apologize to Ran. If she shows sincere remorse, send her to the hospital to give birth." No one dared to respond because the pool of blood seeping out from the attic had already flowed down to the second step. Why has that jealous woman, Jiang Ji, stopped howling? Sir, could something have happened to Madam? She was screaming her lungs out last night and sounded really miserable. Fu Machin took a sip of the porridge and snorted dismissively, "No one knows Jiangji better than I do, she's just putting on an act on purpose. This time, I must teach her a lesson so that she won't dare to mess with Ranran in the future." The butler glanced in the direction of the attic and stammered, "But madam is carrying twins, and the doctor said that she should be admitted to the hospital for childbirth as soon as possible." Fu Machan paused in his action of drinking the porridge, and his expression softened a little. "Is that so?" He stirred in the bowl with a spoon for a while, and a trace of hesitation flashed in his eyes. "Fine, let Jiangji come out and make me a bowl of porridge, and then crawl over here to apologize to Ranran. Today is her due date. If she apologizes sincerely, send her to the hospital." Fu Machan warmed a cup of milk and walked into the guest bedroom. In the bed, Feng Ranran was breathing evenly, the blanket had slipped off her shoulders, and a hint of charm was subtly revealed at her chest. It made Fu Machan's Adam's apple bob. He stared at her for a long time before reluctantly looking away. He bent down and planted a kiss on her lips. Feng Ranran slowly opened her eyes, stretched lazily, and pouted coquettishly. "Brother Machan, you're teasing me again." Fu Machan parted his legs and let Feng Ranran sit in his lap, his fingers idly kneaded at her waist. "With you sleeping like this, how could anyone resist?" Feng Ranran buried her head in Fu Machan's chest and let out a few comfortable moans. "But Sister Jiangji has worked so hard to carry your child. We're both women, and I can't let you betray her when she's at her most vulnerable." Suddenly, as if she had remembered something, she said anxiously, "Sister Jiangji was screaming so loudly last night. Could she be giving birth?" Sigh, even though hearing Sister Jiangji in such pain makes me feel sorry for her, I'm still envious. Being able to carry and give birth to a baby for Brother Machan would be a sweet happiness for me, no matter how painful it is, sweet happiness. At this moment, I had already become a ghost floating beside them on the floor of the attic. Red blood had spread all over the room. On the walls, there were deep scratches with bits of my broken nails and flesh, which I had made out of intense pain, not to mention that in order to give birth to the child, I had torn my lower body to pieces with my hands. When I took out the first child, he had already stopped breathing. Blood gushed out immediately from the torn cavity of my lower body, and the second child was stuck in the bloody, torn cavity. The sticky blood matted my hair. I held the bloody fetus in my arms and stopped breathing with my eyes wide open. I wondered what kind of reaction Fu Machan would have when he saw this scene, but for now, he was only focused on holding Feng Ranran tightly in his arms. His tone was full of guilt and self-reproach. "It's my fault. I shouldn't have let the pregnant Jiangji appear in front of you and make you sad. I swear, this is the last time this woman will carry my child. You won't see any other pregnant woman in this house from now on. You have no idea. Jiangji even lied to me to soften my heart. She said she was afraid of having a difficult labor because the fetus was too big, and she also said that the doctor suggested she be hospitalized immediately. She could survive 3 days and 3 nights in the wild without food. How could she tell me she was afraid of giving birth?" My heart ached, and I could barely breathe. The constitution of a pregnant woman is inherently different from that of an ordinary person. What's more, ever since I became pregnant with twins, the discomfort during my pregnancy had almost exhausted me several times. Due to my poor physical condition during pregnancy, I even had to be hospitalized to preserve the pregnancy. When I was first locked in the attic, I pleaded with him to let me out, saying all kinds of begging words, because if I was really locked up for 3 days, it would definitely result in the death of me and the 2 babies. But in front of me, Fu Machan loudly instructed the butler, "Go, find a stinky river and throw the key in. No one is allowed to secretly open the door for Jiangji. In 3 days, I want her to kneel and apologize to Ranran." In order to survive, I took down the hanging painting on the wall. My hands were covered in blood as I tried to pry open the attic window. My nails were even broken off forcefully. Enduring the excruciating pain, I mustered up my strength and climbed out of the window onto the rain ledge. I clung tightly to the roof tiles with my hands and inched forward little by little, trying to jump to another room to escape. However, in the garden downstairs, Fu Machan was passionately kissing Feng Ranran, holding her tightly. The 2 of them were kissing wildly, and it seemed that things were about to get out of hand. Suddenly, Feng Ranran pushed Fu Machan away, looked up at the attic, and let out a terrified scream. Fu Machan looked up and flew into a rage when he saw me desperately trying to escape. He believed that I had deliberately appeared in front of Feng Ranran again. He ordered someone to bring a crane, and he personally operated it. He used the bulldozer blade to press against my belly and rammed me back into the attic. Intense pain shot through my abdomen, and blood seemed to flow endlessly, trickling down my legs. In the end, my eyes were wide open, and I held the bloody child in my arms just like that. I stopped breathing. Fu Machin brought the milk to Feng Ranran's lips. I've already sent someone to bring Jiangji here to apologize to you. If she's sincere, we'll send her to the hospital. If not, she can just wait to give birth in the attic. Feng Ranran sipped the milk slowly but still choked on a mouthful, her eyes filled with tears, making her look pitiful. Brother Machin, you can't treat Sister Jiangji like this. It's very dangerous for a woman to give birth. Fu Machin sighed and looked at the girl in his arms with doting eyes. You're just too kind, which is why you're being bullied by a woman like Jiangji. Jiangji is an expert in wilderness survival. She can survive for 3 days without food or drink, but you, little one, are so delicate that you can even choke on a sip of milk. He gently tapped her nose. You even said that it's dangerous for women to give birth, as if you've given birth before. A trace of panic flashed in Feng Ranran's eyes, and she immediately lowered her head, her voice tinged with grievance. Only Brother Machin can see through the fragile heart hidden beneath Ranran's strong exterior. She looked up again, her eyes misty, and her lips glistening from being bitten. She hooked her arms around Fu Machin's neck and pressed her chest against his, rubbing it against him intentionally or unintentionally. Fu Machin couldn't hold back any longer, panting heavily. He kissed her. Feng Ranran murmured softly, their lips intertwined passionately, and then they began to eagerly demand from each other. But at the last moment, Feng Ranran suddenly pushed away the man who was gasping for breath. No, you're a married man now. Besides, Sister Jiangji is still carrying your child. Ranran doesn't want to be the mistress who breaks up a family. The desire in Fu Machin's eyes almost burned. He said in a hoarse voice, okay, I will never let down Ranran's true feelings. Just wait for me a little longer. Only a clean me is worthy of touching a clean you. After saying that, he kissed her forehead with lingering desire. As if he were cherishing a rare treasure, a hint of triumph flashed in Feng Ranran's eyes. Fu Machin couldn't see it, but I did, not wanting to be the mistress who breaks up a family. I just found it ridiculous and laughable. She had come to me several times and brazenly said that even if I was pregnant, I was just making wedding clothes for her. Even the child I gave birth to would have to call her mom in the future. What was that all about? She moved into my home under the clumsy excuse of being sick and having no one to take care of her. She openly flirted with Fu Machin at the dining table. Even the aunt who cooked for us couldn't stand it and made some sarcastic remarks about her. Immediately, she complained to Fu Machin, saying that the aunt didn't wash the ingredients properly, which made her suffer from gastroenteritis, and she demanded that the aunt be fired. At that time, I had no appetite during my pregnancy, and only the food cooked by this aunt suited my taste. Out of courtesy, I approached her and suggested that we could hire another chef to cook for her, but she slapped me in the face. It doesn't matter if the food tastes good or not. What matters is knowing who the mistress of the house is. Jiangji, I'm telling you that there is only one Mrs. Fu, and that's me. Feng Ranran. In order to prove that she would be Mrs. Fu, she nestled in Fu Machin's arms and sobbed like a kitten. She cried and said that she was not fortunate enough to bear children for him in this life, and seeing me with a big belly every day made her feel sad and lost. I've been trying my best to avoid Sister Jiangji, but I still can't help running into her every day. I'd better move out. Ranran is really unhappy living in such pain every day. Fu Machin's emotions got out of control in an instant. He rushed up with a cold expression and slapped me to the ground. You know very well that Ranran will be stimulated at the sight of a pregnant woman, yet you keep parading your pregnant belly in front of her every day. What on earth are you thinking? Such a vicious woman, you don't deserve to be a mother. Today, I'm going to lock you in the attic and teach you a good lesson. Several bodyguards grabbed my arms and legs and threw me into the dusty attic. The doctor told me to go to the hospital for childbirth today. She won't be able to see me even if I go to the hospital. I desperately clung to the door frame, begging with tears streaming down my face. Fu Machin sneered, if you're going to lie, at least make it consistent. Your due date is still 3 days away. He didn't listen to any of my defenses and slammed the door shut. My fingers were caught hard in the door. The sudden excruciating pain made me hunch over and retract my fingers, and I couldn't say anything more. Fu Machin looked satisfied and locked the attic. At this moment, the two of them were still clinging to each other. The butler ran over, out of breath, his voice full of panic. Madam is gone. Gone. Fu Machin suddenly raised his head, looking thoroughly displeased. The butler wiped the sweat from his forehead and said fearfully, the attic is full of blood, madam. He didn't dare to continue. Fu Machin straightened his rumpled shirt. What blood? Oh, is she having a show of blood? Is she about to give birth? Send her to the hospital. The butler swallowed hard and continued to answer reluctantly, madam, she has no breath left. There was a trace of panic in Fu Machin's voice. Just as I was trying to listen more carefully, his voice turned harsh again. Keep pretending for me. I want to see how long she can keep this up. She could survive in such harsh conditions in the wild before. She could hold her breath underwater for more than 10 minutes. She's just scaring you with her lack of medical knowledge and holding her breath. Call my private doctor. I want to expose her tricks in person. The butler's eyes widened. Mr. Fu, Madam's child is already. Whose side are you on? Fu Machin interrupted him impatiently. Do I pay your salary or does that woman pay your salary? Yes, I'll go and get the doctor right away. The butler let out a helpless sigh and then left. Feng Ranran leaned against him softly. Brother Machin, don't be angry. Anger is bad for your health. This woman, Jiang Ji, knows how to win people over. It's only been a few years, and she's already acting like the mistress of this house. Fu Machin's words were like a slap in the face, waking me up from my self-righteousness. In just 3 years, he had already forgotten his former promises. On our wedding day, Fu Machin looked at me with love in his eyes and said, "This is your home, and from now on, you're the only mistress of this house." Tears welled up in my eyes uncontrollably just now. I had actually been deluding myself into thinking that if Fu Machin knew I had died during childbirth, would he feel even the slightest bit of regret and self-blame? How ridiculous I was now. And how stupid I had been back then. I had actually believed Fu Machin's words that he would love me forever. Back then, Fu Machin and Feng Ranran were supposed to get married due to their family's long-standing relationship as childhood sweethearts, but Feng Ranran was unexpectedly diagnosed with an inability to conceive naturally due to her physical condition, so she boarded a plane to a foreign country without looking back and cut off all contact with Fu Machin. She claimed that as the only heir of the Fu family, she couldn't bear to marry him and cut off his bloodline. In order to forget the pain of the breakup, Fu Machin joined a wilderness exploration team and I happened to be the team leader. Later, when he proposed to me, he said that I was brave, resolute, and the embodiment of all that was good in the world. I was the faith that guided him when he was lost, and the place where he knew his life belonged. In an instant after we got married, he thought that wilderness exploration was dangerous, so he asked me to resign and stay at home to prepare for pregnancy and give birth to an heir for the Fu family. However, during the days when Fu Machin and Feng Ranran were broken up, he had been drinking and staying up late every day, and his body had already been severely damaged. I faced the pressure from the elders of the Fu family to have a child, while taking care of his health. I was also actively preparing for pregnancy. Finally, in the 3rd year after our marriage, I successfully became pregnant with twins. The 2 elders of the Fu family were so delighted that they immediately held a press conference to announce that the child I gave birth to would be the sole heir of the Fu group. Just then, Feng Ranran returned to the country, and she brought back the words, "I have no interest in the inheritance rights of the group at all. As long as I can be with Machin, I, Ranran, am already very satisfied in this life." Fu Machin started staying out all night, and there were red lipstick marks on his white shirts that couldn't be washed off. I resolutely proposed a divorce, but Fu Machin said that the child in my belly was the heir of the Fu group, and he refused to let me go. He also said that Feng Ranran was ill and needed someone to take care of her, so he brought her into our home. And because Feng Ranran couldn't have children and couldn't stand seeing pregnant women with big bellies, he locked me, who was about to reach my due date, in the abandoned attic. Fu Machin truly deserved to die 1,000 deaths. The doctor arrived soon. As a personal acquaintance of Fu Machin, Gao Yu had always been in charge of Fu Machin's health management. Fu Machin crossed his arms and followed Gao Yu angrily. "Jiang Ji, let's see how much longer you can keep this act up." The door had been violently smashed open and my body, which had been leaning against the door, rolled to the side due to the force of gravity, and the child I was holding in my arms was also pushed into the corner. The thick dust covered my bloody body, making me look like a mummy. Gao Yu frowned tightly, but still, out of professional habit, he routinely checked my vital signs. Fu Machin covered his nose from the smell of blood and refused to take another step inside the attic. "What the hell is Jiang Ji up to? This room stinks so much." The butler kept his head down and didn't dare to make a sound, only stealing glances at Gao Yu from time to time. "Mr. Fu, please accept my condolences." Gao Yu took off his gloves, his expression grave. Fu Machin's cursing came to an abrupt halt, and he released the fingers pinching his nose. "What do you mean by accept my condolences?" He walked straight up to Gao Yu and stared at him. Gao Yu avoided his gaze and pointed at the body whose face was no longer recognizable. "Mr. Fu, the accident has already happened. Madam is dead, and she died during childbirth." After saying that, Gao Yu bent down and wiped the dust off my face with his glove. My pale face formed a tragic contrast with my grayish body, and my lower Limbs were still in the position of giving birth. My whole body was in a strange and ridiculous posture. Fu Machin took one look and burst out laughing. Gao Yu, when did you start having an affair with Jiangji? His eyes were cold as he swept over Gao Yu. Could the child in Jiangji's belly be yours too? Did she call you to save her as soon as I locked her up? No wonder she tried to jump out of the window to escape that day. Was it part of your plan? I treated you like a brother, but you slept with my wife behind my back. Fu Machin grabbed Gao Yu by the collar, his eyes blazing with anger. Gao Yu was also enraged. Are you even human? So it was you who locked Jiangji up, causing her to die during childbirth. You're a murderer. Keep acting for me. Are you trying to use the trick of luring the tiger away from the mountain, using a fake dummy to scare me? The real Jiangji has already been rescued by you. Gao Yu's expression changed several times, and finally, he couldn't bear it anymore. He punched Fu Machin right in the face. He used all his strength and knocked Fu Machin down, making him fall beside my body. My eyes were wide open, staring directly at Fu Machin. Fu Machin jumped up suddenly, and in his panic, he touched a necklace on the ground. It was the one I had torn off with my last bit of strength before I died. Love in the city. There was only one like it in the whole world. It was a token of our love that Fu Machin had bid a high price for and given to me. Fu Machin stepped back abruptly, and his whole body hit the wall. Then he saw those scratches mixed with blood and flesh, but soon, Fu Machin forced himself to calm down. His eyes were sinister as he swept over Gao Yu and the butler. Are you all in this together, playing tricks on me? What did Jiangji promise you? I bet she said that after giving birth to the child, she would get the shares of the heir of the Fu group, and she would definitely not treat you badly, right? The butler shook his head repeatedly. Mr. Fu, madam has never said such a thing. All these years, I was really deceived by her innocent appearance. I didn't see her ambition at all. You've all become her lackeys one by one. Hee. I'm telling you, Jiangji's wishful thinking is going to fail. The condition for the child she gave birth to become the heir is that she has to be the wife of the Fu group. Just then, Feng Ranran walked in. Brother Machin, have you found Sister Jiangji? Ah. That is, seeing the bloodstains on the wall and my pale face connected to my body in a strange posture rolling in the corner, Feng Ranran was so frightened that she screamed and threw herself into Fu Machin's arms. Ranran, don't be afraid. Fu Machin held her in his arms to protect her, and his tone softened. It's just a fake dummy they used to act, that bitch Jiangji. She dared to collude with these people and try to take over our family business. After saying that, he gave a fierce glare at the butler and Gao Yu in front of him. I'll dissolve my marriage with Jiangji tomorrow. The child she gave birth to will never be the heir of the Fu family again. As for you, if you still want to keep your jobs, persuade Jiangji to come back and apologize to Ranran immediately. The person is dead right in front of you. Where do you expect us to find her? Gao Yu roared angrily with his neck thickened. Gao Yu, our two families have been friends for generations. I don't want to make things too ugly with you. If you like that bitch Jiangji, you can have her. But the prerequisite is that she has to come back and divorce me. There was an undisguised joy in Feng Ranran's voice. Brother Machin, are you really going to divorce Sister Jiangji? Yeah, as soon as I find Jiangji, I'll divorce her immediately. Ranran, are you ready to be my bride? Feng Ranran shyly hid in Fu Machin's arms, her voice as soft as a mosquito. Ranran has been ready for a long time. Gao Yu spat and didn't want to be involved in this farce anymore. The butler, for the sake of his job, could only follow Fu Machin and search the attic over and over again, hoping to find some clue that I had escaped. I just thought it was both absurd and ridiculous. My body was right in front of him. What on earth was he still trying to find? They searched the attic but found nothing. They even threw the baby that had been knocked away into the trash can as if it were a doll until Fu Machin opened the window that he had personally nailed shut. When he saw the blood-stained window lock, he was slightly stunned for a moment. Then, he became even angrier. Did you want to escape that badly? You really didn't want to be my wife, did you? Fine, Jiangji, if you're hiding in the dark and laughing at me right now, then I'll tell you, I don't want you anymore. From today on, you're no longer my wife. After saying that, he smashed the Love in the City necklace to pieces. Feng Ranran timidly walked around my body and stood beside Fu Machin. Brother Machin, could this really be Sister Jiangji? Fu Machin lovingly hugged Feng Ranran and made a domineering declaration. Don't be afraid, Ranran, this is all a trap set by Jiangji. We don't have to wait for her to show up. I'll go find a divorce lawyer right away and announce our engagement at a press conference next week. I looked at the Love in the City necklace that had been broken into pieces. It turned out that the former deep affection was so vulnerable in Fu Machin's eyes The day I met him was during a wilderness exploration in a heavy snowfall. The weather suddenly turned extremely bad for no apparent reason, causing the team to move forward very slowly, especially Fu-Machin. He wasn't a professional explorer, and gradually, he was left behind at the end of the team as the team leader. I had no choice but to let the others go first and stay behind to take care of Fu-Machin myself. The snow blocked the mountain, and we took shelter in an abandoned wooden house. There was no food or water for a full 3 days. With my excellent survival skills, I led Fu-Machin to be successfully rescued. He said that those 3 days felt like he had lived a whole lifetime. He fell hopelessly in love with me, but I thought that when a person encounters a little warmth in a time of crisis, they will have an illusion of love. So at first, I rejected his pursuit. This man, however, persisted for 4 years. For 4 years, he accompanied me on countless wilderness explorations. On the plateau, even while breathing oxygen, he accompanied me to stand on the highest peak in the extremely cold region. He caught a cold and had a high fever, but he stayed at the camp. Yet, because I returned late, he insisted on going to find me and bring me back. I also became ordinary in the face of danger time and time again. I developed a sincere heart to share weal and woe with him. Everyone said that I was fortunate, and that the young master of the Fu group would marry no one but me. I always thought so too until Feng Ranran returned to the country. No matter when, with just a phone call from Feng Ranran, Fu-Machin could immediately leave me and go to accompany her. Ranran grew up with me. Without me by her side, she can't do anything well on her own. Ranran has no one to take care of her. When she has a high fever, she can only stay at home alone. I brought her to our home, and you can take care of her. His heart was divided into 2 halves, and the half he gave me became smaller and smaller until I could no longer feel it. When Feng Ranran wasn't back, Jiangji was worthy of being loved. After Feng Ranran came back, it was like the sun overshadowed the moonlight, and my little bit of light became insignificant. But I had clearly proposed a divorce, and he still wouldn't let me go. When he locked me in the attic, there was only endless indifference in his eyes. Jiangji, think it over. If you want a divorce, you can't take this child with you. You'll be locked in this attic until the day you give birth. I was trapped and died in the attic that looked just like the mountain forest that year. But this time, what blocked me wasn't the heavy snow, but the doors and windows that my former lover had nailed shut with his own hands. The survival skills that I was proud of, which were taught by Fu-Machin, also became useless and led me to a hopeless situation. My body was thus left to stink in the attic, ignored by Fu-Machin. To him, the most important thing now was his engagement banquet with Feng Ranran. Fu-Machin held a press conference and announced this good news with a beaming face. He also showed off his affection with Feng Ranran on the internet. Fu-Machin, after going around in circles, it's still you. Feng Ranran, after searching high and low, it's still you. Their former alumni all came to send their blessings. Lovers will eventually get married. Blessings, from school uniforms to wedding dresses. I believe in love again. Gao Yu's comment seemed a bit out of place. Have you found the living Jiangji? Fu-Machin only replied to this comment of his and pinned it to the top. If Mr. Gao wants to hide a beauty in a golden house, how can I find her? The literal meaning of Fu-Machin's words was very obvious, and there were countless curses and rebuttals from netizens under Gao Yu's comment. That wasn't enough. Netizens also dug up and spread rumors about my previous experiences in wilderness exploration. I heard that the relationships between men and women in wilderness exploration teams are really chaotic. Could this team leader have gotten her position by sleeping with others? No wonder she could seduce Mr. Fu back then. It seems she really has a lot of experience. Even some lawless people used the gimmick to replace my face with AI and spread many fake videos. The insults that flooded in made me extremely painful. But what about Fu-Machin? Instead of stopping it, he even personally liked these rumors. He stared at the phone screen, looking extremely pleased. Jiangji, let's see how much longer you can hold out and not show up. I roared desperately, but I could only watch helplessly as my slap passed through Fu-Machin's face. Fu-Machin and Feng Ranran's engagement banquet was held in the most luxurious hotel in the city. However, there was no sign of joy on the faces of my father-in-law and mother-in-law. Once, they had strongly opposed my marriage to Fu-Machin. In those years when I was preparing for pregnancy, in order not to hurt Fu-Machin's self-esteem, I didn't tell him about his physical weakness. Later, however, I couldn't bear the pressure and had to confess it to my father-in-law and mother-in-law. Since then, the 2 elders had changed their attitude towards me, especially after I became pregnant with twins. They treated me like their own daughter. Fu-Machin, I don't care how many women you want to marry, you must find Jiangji for me. The child in her belly is the only heir of our Fu family. The old master Fu said sternly, "Don't worry, she'll show up obediently today." Fu Machin looked confident and glanced towards the entrance of the hotel from time to time. My soul was trapped around Fu Machin, and I didn't know what tricks he was up to until Gao Yu appeared. Fu Machin immediately got up to greet him, but when he saw that there was no one beside Gao Yu, his expression showed a brief moment of disappointment. He immediately called several bodyguards to hide on the hotel balcony and whispered, "Instructions: search Gao Yu's car immediately. If you find even a single hair of Jiang Ji's, you must report it to me." After giving the instructions, Fu Machin lit a cigarette. He smoked it quickly and fiercely and was choked into a fit of coughing. The bodyguards soon came back. "Mr. Fu, we didn't find any trace of Madam. We didn't even find a single hair of hers. Damn it, where the hell is she hiding?" Fu Machin's face was filled with anger, and he slapped the hotel railing hard. The bodyguard raised his head, his eyes full of hesitation. When they returned to the banquet hall from the balcony, the guests had already started to leave one after another. Gao Yu stepped forward angrily and grabbed Fu Machin by the collar. "You fucking smashed my car." Fu Machin avoided his gaze but still shouted back defiantly, "Be smart and hand Jiang Ji over quickly, otherwise, next time, it won't just be your car that gets smashed." Gao Yu retorted coldly, "Fu Machin, how much longer are you going to deceive yourself?" His fingers gripping Fu Machin's collar turned white, and he continued to mock, "You slandered her innocence and refused to admit the fact that you killed her. You're just avoiding the truth that you killed your own wife and child with your own hands. The body in the attic is Jiang Ji. She only gave birth to one child, and the other one didn't make it and she died during childbirth." Gao Yu released his hand, and his words were full of provocation. "The reason I didn't call the police was to wait and see you break down when you learned the truth. Fu Machin, do you dare to let a forensic doctor examine the body, or are you just afraid that the body is Jiang Ji?" Fu Machin suddenly lost his strength and stumbled several steps before he could stand still. When he returned to the villa, Feng Ranran had already changed into a sexy Lolita outfit and moved into the master bedroom. Her figure was wrapped in white fishnet stockings, and she leaned bonelessly against Fu Machin. "Brother Machin, Ranran has been waiting for this day for a long time. Today, Ranran finally belongs to you." After saying that, she closed her eyes, stood on tiptoe, and offered her red lips to Fu Machin. Surprisingly, Fu Machin actually refused her affectionate gesture. He pushed Feng Ranran away, his eyes evasive. "Ranran, there are still some matters in the company that I haven't dealt with. I'll sleep in the study tonight." After saying that, he turned around and left. Feng Ranran stamped her feet in a hurry and chased after him while taking off her clothes. But even when she was completely naked, Fu Machin just instructed, "Cover yourself with the quilt at night and don't catch a cold." Then he turned around and closed the bedroom door. Fu Machin didn't go to the study. Instead, he turned around and stepped onto the stairs leading to the attic. Was he finally going to confirm all of this? Fu Machin summoned up his courage and opened the door of the attic. It already stank to high heaven. He was still cursing nonstop. "What the hell are you up to, Jiang Ji? Ugh, I'm giving you one last chance. If you don't come out, I'll really be angry. Ugh." But as he was cursing, he gradually fell silent. He walked over and slowly squatted down in front of my body. The attic was stuffy and hot, which caused my body to rot almost beyond recognition. There were even maggots crawling around in my skin and rotting flesh. Fu Machin didn't cover his nose as he did before. Instead, he leaned closer to my face. Then, he became extremely angry. "Jiang Ji, is it really that fun to play tricks on me? The dummy is made so realistically. How could you possibly be dead? I won't allow you to die without my permission." Just as he was in a rage, the sound of footsteps suddenly came. There was a look of surprise on Fu Machin's face. "Jiang Ji, I knew you weren't dead." But his eyes widened. The people who came were the two elders of the Fu family. Seeing the scene in front of them, Mrs. Fu let out a scream and fainted. Mr. Fu had seen something after all, but at this moment, he couldn't help but retch continuously. He waved the walking stick in his hand and struck Fu Machin on the back of his knee. Fu Machin let out a muffled groan and knelt down. Beast, you actually killed Jiang Ji, killed your own child." Fu Machin suddenly roared like a madman. "This is all Jiang Ji's trick. Once we were trapped in a wooden house. She gave all the food to me. In the end, she survived too." Hearing Fu Machin's words, I felt nothing but bitterness in my heart. So, he remembered all of that. Then why, as his former savior, did I end up being pushed to my death by him? Mr. Fu was furious. He used the walking stick to strike Fu Machin's back again and again. "Idiot, how could the Fu family have given birth to such an idiot like you?" Fu Machin was annoyed by the scolding and called the bodyguards to help the two elders away. After being left alone, Fu Machin began to examine my body again. Although it looked completely unrecognizable, he used his hand to feel along the dried-up bloodstains. Suddenly, he saw something, and his whole body trembled in panic. Then he turned on his phone and searched frantically. I stood behind him and saw it clearly. Can a pregnant woman give birth before the due date? The moment he found the answer, he was stunned for a long time. He was unwilling and continued to flip through the pages one by one. Suddenly, he let out a crazy howl. I didn't know. I really didn't know. I thought that a pregnant woman would only give birth on the due date. No one ever told me that she could give birth early. He called Gao Yu again, and his tone was unexpectedly soft this time. As long as you give Jiangji back to me, you can name any conditions for our future cooperation. On the other end of the phone came Gao Yu's curses and mockery. Cooperation? Who wants to cooperate with a murderer? By the way, let me tell you that your new little beautiful wife had 6 abortions before you married her. Open your phone and take a look. It's the top trending topic. Fu Machin was stunned for a while, not knowing what he was thinking. Just then, Feng Ranran ran up. Brother Machin, someone is spreading rumors about Ranran on the internet. Hurry up and spend some money to suppress it. Fu Machin frowned and clicked on the trending topic. Almost all the young masters of the groups in City A had gathered together. They testified with their real names that Feng Ranran had an abortion for them during her relationship with Fu Machin. Among them, there were a few who were good friends who used to call Fu Machin brother on a daily basis. Fu Machin stared at those trending topics for a long time before he opened his mouth to question. So you can't have children because you had 6 abortions? Feng Ranran's face turned pale, like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. Her voice was sharp. You believe him but not me. Is this what you call loving me? Fu Machin suddenly sneered. Your health has always been poor. I offered to take you to the hospital, but you refused. But you didn't know that besides being able to read medical reports, Gao Yu also understands traditional Chinese medicine pulse diagnosis. He had already reminded me that there was something wrong with you, but I still chose to believe you instead of him. After he finished speaking, he called someone to lock Feng Ranran up. Fu Machin stared at my body in silence and gently wiped the blood off my face bit by bit with a clean handkerchief. Fu Machin stared at my body quietly and used a clean handkerchief to wipe the bloodstains off my face bit by bit. He called my name over and over again. No one responded to him. Finally, Fu Machin couldn't hold back the sadness in his eyes. He knelt down on the ground and covered his eyes in pain. Aji is really dead, is that so? I will pay with my life. Aji, you wait for me. I watched indifferently, but the resentment in my heart grew stronger and stronger. Pay with his life, with the lives of me and the child, a total of 3 lives. What could he use to repay us? As my resentment accumulated more and more, I clearly felt that my soul had gained strength. I held my breath and concentrated, and I moved an old guitar and smashed it hard at Fu Machin. He was knocked down and lay on the ground in a sorry state. Soon, he got up, his tone full of joy. Aji, you're back, right? I didn't have the time to pay attention to these words. I just lifted the guitar again and smashed him until his head was bleeding. Fu Machin also knelt up straight and let me smash him. His face was covered in blood, and he looked like a madman. Finally, his whole body trembled, and after a long while, he lowered his head. A week later, Feng Ranran, who was being condemned by everyone on the trending topics, disappeared together with Fu Machin. Many people thought that they had committed a murder and fled the country. In fact, Fu Machin sent Feng Ranran to northern Myanmar, and he himself, carrying my body, set foot on that exploration path again. When he reached the foot of the mountain, Fu Machin was stopped by the staff. The blizzard has blocked the mountain, and there is a risk of an avalanche at any time. Just like that night, when Fu Machin had a high fever and was stopped from going to find me alone, he still chose to avoid being noticed and secretly ran up the mountain alone. It was still that dilapidated small wooden house. The wind and snow almost froze Fu Machin stiff. Aji, I've come to pick you up. He took a deep breath and closed his eyes, facing the rolling white snow in front of him. The heavy snow buried the wooden house tightly, piling up a snow mountain. From a distance, it looked like Fu Machin's grave.